From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of myBurbank Talks, presented by the staff of myBurbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, Burbank. Craig Sherwood here, along with the remote, Ross Benson.
Good evening from my remote location.
If those who listen live on Monday, we're going a little late tonight, but we had some technical difficulties and had to set some things up, and we had to get Ross on the telephone line. So it looks like we've got everything patched in properly. So let's start off with another week that was, and we're going to start off with last week's winner, who is Mary Cunningham, who sent in the word Burbank bus. But once again, Mary did not send your address in, so please send me your address. We want to send you that $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe, one of the greatest places you'll ever get to eat at. I can't tell you how many times I go there and enjoy the food. So please send in your address.
Wonder if she's any relation to Alfie Cunningham. Oh no, that was Ron Howard. That's right.
Oh, that was his stage mother, right? Or yeah, I guess
that's right.
His TV mother. Well, one of his TV mothers. He's tried out a few.
Cunningham, yeah.
Well, so
the week there was.
Well, but before we get into that, today's a big day for us. You know that, don't you? Today is?
You're right. It is our big one.
Our 14th birthday today. You can call it an anniversary. I like to call it a birthday. This is like a child to me. When I created this, and both Ross and I were working for another newspaper in town that seemed to be going nowhere, and I took a look around back in 2010, and I left there at actually the last day of the decade in 2009 on December 31st. Took about a month off, and I said, so what's the next step? I've been in journalism for 30 years. What am I going to do next year? And I started looking at it and saying, I always am on computers. I get news on Twitter and everything else. Digital is the way to go. So I started to put the whole thing together and incorporate the whole thing and talked to Ross and said, Ross, this is a ride you need to take with me. And damn it, you did.
Well, it's funny because I've always thought Burbank deserves its own news source. It's always bugged me that, you get the Glendale News Press or what's happening in Glendale, what's happening outside of Burbank, and people care about Burbank. If you talk to Burbank people, they want to know what's happening in their backyard.
And that's where we made that's where we made our mistakes in the beginning. Our first 3 years, we actually called it Burbank and Beyond, thinking that if we had to go a little outside of Burbank, we could, and that'd be the Beyond. But two things happened. Number one, people couldn't remember it was Burbank A and D Beyond or Burbank the letter N Beyond. It was 2 words, 3 words, 1 word. So they weren't figuring out how to get to us. That was number one. Number two, they couldn't figure out, they didn't want to hear about Glendale. Like I said, they don't want to hear about Glendale. They don't care about Sun Valley. They don't care about North Hollywood. They really don't.
That's right.
So when I saw the name myBurbank come up, and I actually got it from somebody in Australia. I had to pay a pretty good sum of money for it, too. But I think it was worth it.
Well, it's funny you say that because, the more people I talk to around town, they don't care what goes on in Glendale. We have our own city and whatever, and the council, and we have a great city. And I just, for example, my son went to dinner on I think it was Friday night, and they asked, "What does your dad do?" And he says, "Well, have you ever heard of myBurbank?" And they said, "We love myBurbank. We look at it daily, and I hear it all the time. Our numbers are up there. People follow us." Where else are you going to get news about Burbank?
Yeah, it's actually
from us.
It's actually amazing when you look at our numbers. Our numbers are right around 70,000 people a month come to our site, and that's a lot of people. 70,000, and our Twitter is really growing fastly. I think we're over 51,000 on Twitter, and our other social medias. We have TikTok and Instagram and whatever. I think there's another Facebook. I think there's another 25,000 there. So it's amazing how. It didn't happen overnight. Yeah, we're not an overnight success. So
no, it's taken us a while. I know we've always said that guy at 634 Florence. Is he following myBurbank? Does he know? And daily, you hear people go, I just found my Burbank.
Yeah, well,
And it's so funny. Where was I the other day? And I did that Toluca Lake Chamber mixer, and the president said, "I've followed my Burbank for years now. It's the only way you know anything that's going on in Burbank."
well, down the line, we're talking about doing that in my Toluca Lake, but until they get a little more behind us, I don't think that's going to happen. But we have it in place if that ever happens. If we want to branch out, because we don't have enough to do now as it is.
Right.
So you know what else today is also is besides our birthday, and besides April 1st, and we're not trying to fool you whatsoever. Today's also once again the first day of voting for My Burbank's Best for 2024. And we have voting open on our website. Go to our website, you'll see all kinds of boxes, or just go to the top menu and it says Vote for My Burbank's Best 2024. And we have like 240 different categories on there, and you can type in the businesses that you want to support. You don't have to fill every category out, but fill out the ones that you think are that you want to support their businesses. Last year we had close to 2,500 votes. This year I think we'll get over 3,000. In fact, voting's only been open for one day now. I think we have about 350 votes already come in the first day. So that's tremendous. Amazing. I mean,
yeah.
And we didn't push it till about noon today. So, but My Burbank's Best has become something that the merchants really like it, because if they get voted My Burbank's Best, they get a decal, they get a digital decal for their websites and stuff, and they can use it for their advertising. And I think people see that and say, okay, people. This is like a 5-star rating. This means that people in Burbank trust this place.
Yep, exactly.
So voting is open. Go to our website, and you will find how to vote. As they say in Chicago, vote early and vote often.
That's right. Okay,
well, let's get on to last week here. Now it's the week that was. Let's start off with the city council meeting. And there was really only one thing of note in that council meeting about all things that happened, and that was about the metro and what we're going to do with the metro and the bus lane and all that. There are going to be some dedicated bus lanes in Burbank, and that's not a contention. I think there's a small lane on Riverside Drive, going to be a small lane on Olive between First and Glen Oaks, and maybe on Glen Oaks going into Glendale. There are going to be some dedicated bus lanes. But the one that was really on everybody's mind was the bus lane that was supposed to go on Olive from Buena Vista to Lake. And it would not work. There are too many cars on our Burbank Main Street to do that. And the council isn't, and I agree, nobody is closed to the idea. But prove it's going to work first. You know how you prove it? And they said right now that little section right there might only save 1 to 2 minutes. So it's not like a 10-minute swing or something. We're going to save 1 to 2 minutes in mixed flow traffic as it is. Instead of going into one single dedicated lane. But I say this.
Well, if you recall, when they originally threw that out at us, they wanted to take the curb lane,
right?
And that would have screwed all those businesses.
Yeah, that meant no parking, and you have three. Right. You'd have 3 lanes, but no parking. And if you're a small business on Olive and you have no parking, you're out of business.
Yeah, right now a lot of people go uptown, and if you got to park in the parking structures, you got to hike to go to some places.
Oh, absolutely.
So how they're glad with what they finally decided.
Right, the council decided they're going to stay with the original letter they wrote a couple years ago to Metro and said they want to see a mixed flow solution. Mixed flow means the buses just run with traffic, but they're not closed to the idea. They just want to see. I agree. Let's see some proof of concept first. And like I said before, you show me buses are running 75% full instead of 90% empty like the Burbank bus is, then I'll start believing you. But if people aren't taking the Burbank bus, how is this going to help Burbank to start with? I mean, we can't get people to take the Burbank bus. How many people in Burbank are going to take this bus to Pasadena or to North Hollywood? I think it's more for the people in North Hollywood and Pasadena to pass through Burbank. I don't think it really affects and helps Burbank people that much with the Burbank bus running that runs to the Metro Lincoln station in North Hollywood as it is on the same route. So
it'll be interesting.
Absolutely. So they say that they're going to work with, and they also make a subcommittee. Council members Takahashi and Mullins are going to meet with the board itself. They've never done that. It's always been through representatives, and maybe that might help too. And more to come later this year. And when it does, we'll let you know, and we will, we'll break it all down for you before it happens.
Well, it was pretty funny. I've watched council for, over 50 years now, and how they came up with the two to be on the committee. They literally picked straws out of a cup, or I think the city clerk put people's name in a cup, and they, pulled out. And it was smart how council member Mullins said, let's look who's going to be here in the next couple of years. So, and Tamala said she rides the bus. She, uses it quite a bit now. And I personally, with Suzette, she was a business owner. She knows Burbank darn well. So,
yeah,
I'm glad to see that they're going to get together and be face to face with your Metro board.
Well, I think it's worth exploring. Like I say, nobody's closed to the idea. We're just saying to make a drastic change like that, you got to show some proof of concept. Let's see if it's going to work. Let's see if it's going to work first, and then we can make adjustments. You know what? If those buses are running 75% full, then you know what? People in Burbank need to make an adjustment, and maybe we all have to make adjustments down the line too when it comes to our vehicles. So I get that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the only other thing last week that really happened was rain. We had a lot of rain. In fact, we got over 3 inches. With, guess what, another storm coming this next Friday in 4 days. We have another storm coming, so isn't that a beautiful thing?
Well, they say climate change isn't real?
Well, I think climate change is, if you look at it, so far in this storm we had 3.37 inches, and we have a total this year of 24.18. Now, remember, the rain season is not like a calendar or fiscal year. The rain season starts October 1st and ends September 30th. I have no idea how that came up with the season, but that's what the official season is. Last year, we had 41.44 inches of rain, 5.69 alone in August last year in that freak little river that came through here, the atmospheric river. So, well, we have more rain coming here on this Friday. A very cold storm, too. The snow levels will be down low this time. So we might get some snow in the Burbank Hills. You never know. And then I hear another storm.
I'll have to look out my back door.
There you go. I hear maybe another possible storm the next week, too. So, hey, this is March, or April. I mean, April showers bring May flowers, right?
That's right.
Okay. So that's kind of it for last week. Not a lot to really talk about last week. We're going to take a quick break here for a commercial and come back with the week that will be.
Enjoying the show right now? Thinking you may want to do your own podcast? myBurbank Talks is renting out our podcast studio on an hourly rate. You can do audio podcasts or both audio and video, and even bring in guests to talk with. We will help you get set up on podcast platforms and start a YouTube channel, and we can edit your productions to make you look and sound your very best. If you're interested, please drop us an email at studiorentals@myburbank.com. That's studiorentals@myburbank.com, and we will get back to you. Now, back to our show.
Okay, everybody. Craig Sherwood here with you once again, along with Ross Benson.
Here we are. Here we go. What happens? And let's go.
Well, let's get on with today was it's funny. Today was one of two things. There's actually 3 things. It's April Fool's Day, of course. No fooling. But the city offices were closed in recognition of Dolores Huerta Day. Now, most people use it as Cesar Chavez Day, but the city, because of Dolores Huerta's ties to Burbank, made it Dolores Huerta Day instead. So that's why all the city offices were closed today. But it's funny, the school district that has a school named after her decided to leave it Cesar Chavez Day in recognition. So I'm not sure. It's cats and dogs living together. Let's move on here. Okay, Tuesday. Tuesday, we're going to start tomorrow off with a low-cost dog and cat vaccine clinic once again from 2 to 5 p.m. at the animal shelter. So if you have a dog or a cat that needs a shot, and it's a very low cost, you get it done. And like I say, I've had Dodgers at my vet. It's a pretty nice little. I walk out there saying, "Holy cow!" They took my wallet. I hope they give me something back.
Well, this is the first time the shelter's done it at the shelter by appointments. They used to do it once a year at the fire station, and I remember people lining up with their dogs, and they were running in circles and everything. And Dr. Martin Small was the doctor that was, him and a couple of the volunteers, and they got through several hundred people. But it's very economical doing it this way. And it goes to remind people that, our animal shelter is full service.
That's right. So the question is Dr. Martin small, or is he a large man?
He was a regular sized man.
I can't.
But it's funny. A lot of people knew Marty. I happen to know him from the synagogue in Burbank. I used to spend time at his house. Knew the family quite well, so I've known Marty for many years. He passed away several years ago, and his wife preceded him many, many years ago. And people love Marty. He just had, for dogs, he had bedside manner that, I remember I brought a cat to him once that broke her hip, and I was shook up, and he said, "It happens. We'll set it. Cat will be fine." I mean, his practice and how he did his stuff, and I think everybody at the Burbank Animal Shelter learned from Dr. Small. So,
well, he was a Burbank mainstay. He was a trusted person who spent his whole career here and did a lot for a lot of people. And and once again, it was, if you knew him, you were lucky.
Yes, very.
Let's move on. On Tuesday, we're going to have. Now, this is something I got to tell you. I look at stuff and I try to figure it out on the agenda, and I look at the what's going to be talked about, and I looked at this and I go, "There's no way." The Fiscal and Treasury Review Group will meet at 2 p.m. at the Community Services Building. They're going to review a review of 2024 City of Burbank investment policy and review of the City Treasurer's investment portfolio report for December 31st, 2023. Now, I'm sorry. There's only so much one person can know, and I think my head would explode if I tried to figure out all the numbers and stocks and trends and everything. We have a great city treasurer, and you know what? She's done a great job.
Palmer. People don't realize Crystal Palmer has her thumb on it. Remember when she was first elected? She's been, reelected, and she really keeps the money. That pencil's sharp and does a very, very good job. I commend Crystal and her office and the Treasury office of everything they do.
Well, if you look at the state of California right now is going into a huge deficit, I guess, but not the city of Burbank. So, I think she does some good investing and safe investing, but I think she's on the ball. So now the city council is not going to meet on Tuesday. They're going to dark on Tuesday because they're going to meet on Wednesday instead. So we'll check out that in a second. So let's move on to Wednesday here, April 3rd. At 11 a.m. to noon, they are going to have a dedication of the clock tower that the people at Rotary have donated to the city. So it's going to be a dedication at Centennial Park. Now that's
how many people wonder where that is?
I didn't. I gotta tell you, I didn't know the name of that park either. So I had to look at. I found this when I saw it. I go, oh, that's what it's called. That's a little. It's a park, but it's more like a little walking sitting area that's right next to the police department. In fact, right next to the jail. So if you get out of jail, you walk a few feet and you can go sit in that park and wait for your Uber to come.
Well, I remember when they put that park in, you could donate money to have your name put on a brick. And
Gary Brick?
Jack Hine.
Oh, it wasn't Gary Brick, right? It wasn't Gary Brick, right?
No, not Gary Brick.
Okay.
A real brick. But Jack Hine, who used to be an engineer at the radio station, lifelong Burbank resident, he bought one with his name and his kid's name. And every time I walk by there, I see that and I go, wow. I don't know what they're going to do if they change that park. But the clock's been up for about a week. And it is right on time. I looked at it the other day.
Okay. Well,
And
that's going to be on Wednesday from 11 to noon. They're going to have a dedication. Thank you to the Rotary who put that in. Let's hope they keep it up. That's all I'm going to say. Let's hope they keep it up.
well, and we want to emphasize that's noon Rotary. We're pretty fortunate in Burbank to have 2 Rotary clubs, but the one that donated that was Noon Rotary, who meet on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock over there at the the hotel there at the corner of San Fernando and Verdugo.
Oh, the
Marriott.
No,
The Garden.
the garden, right?
But Lynn wrote a nice article. We had it last week. She wrote the article about their fundraiser coming up. So people can take a look at it. myBurbank can find that.
Okay. 4 p.m. We're going to have a ribbon cutting at Black Angus for their 60th birthday anniversary. See, they say birthday too. 60th birthday. And I the other night, Dick Dornan, who's a friend of the program, and was on with us the other, we actually went over there and had dinner the other night. And I got to tell you what, the food there has really improved. I enjoyed the meal. There was nothing about the meal that was not good, and I thought it was very, very good. So, Black Angus might be a little place in Burbank people don't think about. You think about a smokehouse, maybe Morton's, all these places, but Black Angus, they hang in there pretty good.
Well, they moved their main offices are here in Burbank now. Their main, and that is their flagship store that they, all the bosses, all the executives. So it better be good. Give you a little trivia. When Black Angus moved in there many, 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 many years ago, they had a hot air balloon team. And I went flying. They picked me up right there at First Street in Angelino in a hot air balloon. I think it was like 6 a.m. We flew out all the way through the San Fernando Valley. We landed at the Black Angus on Reseda Boulevard. And I shot pictures, and first time I'd ever been on a hot air balloon. And then they opened a bottle of champagne, and we all had a toast.
Yeah.
But
I always thought hot air balloons were at the mercy of the wind.
well, early in the morning, they flew it from Burbank out to Reseda, and like I said, we went up right here in Burbank.
And then you had to fly it back.
I know they had a crew.
Okay,
follow
so
us.
I guess the wind was going in one direction then.
Right.
Okay, well that makes sense then, because I would say, how would they be able to go in 2 directions?
But pretty unusual for a hot air balloon to take off from Stuart Anderson. Then I remember the balloon had their logo on it, and very colorful and so forth. But the first time I'd ever flown in a hot air balloon, and it was an experience.
Well, I thought the rest of it for a few years wasn't very good, but my opinion is 100% changed. And you know what? And for you sports people out there, what a great place to go if you want to watch a game. They've got a zillion TVs in that place. So if you want to go in,
I remember. It's funny. I remember back in the day when Gene Blevins, our good friend Gene Blevins, was a DJ, and that was one of the places on Friday, Saturday nights. Everybody would show up, and there's a lot that has gone on at that Black Angus, but their food. It's funny how Sizzler. You used to go to Sizzler and you weren't sure about their steak. Well, that's what people said about Black Angus. But
I agree, yes.
like I said, you learned the other day it's pretty yummy.
And that's why I'm passing. You know me if it's not anybody. I'm the first guy to dump on somebody or to give my real opinion. And so when something's good, I'm gonna pass that along too, because I think it's important that I do see good things now, and I do experience good things now and then. So when it's good for me, it's got to be good.
Yeah, about a year ago, in fact, Bob Frutos and his wife Laura took me to dinner for some occasion, and that's where they wanted to go. And I couldn't believe how much food you got.
Yeah,
they got some triple plate trio or something, and I couldn't move when I walked out of there.
Yeah, well, Coach and I actually got the meal for two type thing, and you got each got an entree, and you got 2 sides each, and a salad and a dessert. And I'll tell you this: the crab and I got the wedge salad with crab, and not real good. That was the only thing that was disappointing. But the dessert at the end, the cake was amazing. I got the prime rib, amazing. I got scalloped potatoes. I got mac and cheese, amazing. So very happy. So anyhow, moving on.
Well, happy birthday or happy anniversary to Black King.
Yeah, 60 years. Pretty soon they'll catch up to us.
Yeah.
We got to keep getting ahead of them. Okay, also on Wednesday, the Civil Service Board is going to meet at 4:30 o'clock at City Hall, and mostly going to talk about recruitment and things like that, and just the usual stuff. And then later that night at 6 p.m., the City Council is going to have a joint meeting with the school board. And now it's not at City Hall, it's not in the chambers, it's at the Community Services Building at 6 p.m. Because there's going to be so many people that need so many microphones, they can't fit them all in City Hall because, they're all going to want to talk. And they say the same thing over and over again.
Well, it threw me when I saw it on Wednesday. I sent a text to our city PIO, Jonathan Jones, and I said, a council meeting on a Wednesday? And he said, yeah, for them to get all their schedules worked out, it had to be on a Wednesday.
No. I'm gonna say one thing. I really hope that Steve Ferguson on the school board publicly apologizes to Justin Hess, our city manager, after throwing him under the bus after the last failed meeting they had, and he blamed Justin Hess for everything, and that was not right. So hopefully he apologizes if we can. Now, public comment is going to be interesting because the public can now comment on anything that deals with the city of Burbank or the school district. You're not limited just to you usually comment on the schools and say, well, we can't do anything about that. We're not involved with that. Well, this meeting you can. So if you want to talk about the schools or the city of Burbank, anything, you've got your 3 minutes. So I say you should use it. So
it'll be interesting.
So let's see here. They're going to talk about, they're going to get an update on Burbank's water and power partnership initiatives with the school district. I'm sure that's going to talk about maybe all the solar panels they have on the parking structures that help, with that. Funny that they do they do solar panels on the school's parking structures to help them with the bills, but they will do no incentives for the public, because if we start doing solar, then our public utility that we pay for is going to be in trouble. So they don't want us personally doing solar, but they'll do it for the businesses. There's going to be an update on campus safety efforts. And once again, these are updates. They're not going to decide anything. They're not going to vote on anything. They're just going to talk about it.
I read the report. The report is pretty, it shows pictures of, they met with the police department, the fire department, and Burbank High had quite a few improvements. I remember one of the topics was the off-site classrooms at John Burroughs, and now all classes are on the main campus. They've made quite a few corrections. There's still stuff that they're doing that will take a while with ID cards and access points and more cameras at Burbank High. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, cameras are so crucial. Nowadays, cameras are not that expensive. They really aren't. That needs to be done. They're going to have an overview of the sexual assault report response and protocols. And as most people remember, that was a contentious thing back in last year. And a lot of people were very upset. And I'm not sure how that ever got resolved because the school district really didn't talk about it. But hopefully that has been, they will talk about it here, with the responses and the protocols. They're going to have a traffic safety update. And they'll probably talk about traffic back in September or August when school started, I should say. So I'm not sure how that applies right now, but they'll talk about it. They're going to have an update on the school resource officers. And that'll
be interesting.
Yeah, now that's something that's very important. That's something that, we've all dropped the ball on. It's not we, I shouldn't say we all dropped the ball. It's something that has been kind of been funded out, and I think needs to get refunded. Because, as you and I both know, having that school resource officer when we went to school was always important. It was good to have him there. And it was always somebody who wasn't there to watch us and nail us. He was there to and not be a friend either. but he was there, and to support us. If any, it's all
Well,
about
it takes
support.
a special officer, and I know how they choose them. Officers put their name in, and it's usually, you got to show, and the ones that they've had, I know when my son went to Burbank High, even up to John Muir, he knew, the school resource officer, got to know her real well, and there's just so many different times. Today, he can remember stories of her, when she brought her horse to the campus. That was Cheryl.
Wait, she brought her what?
Brought her horse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her and her husband, Carrie Shelf, were horse owners. They were part of the police department's equestrian team, and they would bring the horse to the elementary schools, and great PR tool.
Absolutely.
Burbank doesn't have an equestrian unit anymore.
No.
It's unfortunate.
Another thing that we've kind of let go to the side, L.A. does, but not Burbank.
Oh, yeah. L.A., the county sheriff, most departments do.
We have an equestrian district here,
Center.
a rancho area, but we have no horses. So too bad. There's going to be also a report on the joint mental health initiatives. Now, not sure what that basically are. We'll listen to that on the report.
If I recall, some of those were new.
Yeah, two things they had on there. I just threw real fast. One was a no wrong door policy, and the other was an update on unmarked patrol cars for mental health hospitalizations of students, because they find that students freak out when they see they're marched out to a police car instead of a regular non-marked car to go to get mental health aid. At a
See, but you know what gets me about that, and I still scratching my bald head about it. You remember it took them, they said after COVID they couldn't get a car, they couldn't get it equipped. And I saw it at that stabbing last week. My son pointed it out to me. It's a regular Explorer. It's got a different cage inside, but it's just a plain white Explorer. And you tell me you can't go down to a Ford dealer and pick up a white Explorer? So I don't know what took 2 years for them to finally get it. But
they still can't get
I think they have one or two.
They still can't get another Met team.
Right.
It seems like we all want to do things about mental health, but when it comes right down to the nuts and bolts of it, it seems they always fall through the cracks.
Yep.
They're also going to have a joint resolution in support of the LGBTQ plus community and inclusiveness. So now that was the entire reason that Steve Ferguson threw the meeting out the door last time, because this was not on the agenda, and he demanded it be on the agenda. So there you go. Now it's on the agenda. It's only a resolution. And who doesn't support this? It's not like it's something that's contentious or needs to be discussed. He just wants to have his time to make a speech. So you know what, Steve? Make your speech. The floor will be yours. Everybody's going to vote for it. We all support it. So at least you'll get your way. Also, they're having a report on the district enrollment trends and the potential impact of affordable housing access. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If we're putting in affordable housing, I'm not sure.
Well, but I read that report. The numbers are really dropping. That's a lot of money Burbank's losing.
Well, yeah, it's butts in the seats, and I think for one time it was $75. You made $75 every butt in the seat, and that was you had to be there for 4 hours a day, and I think that's a stupid system to start with. But now let's face it. In the last few years, we've had a lot of principals leave. Our schools are no longer getting distinguished schools anymore, and things like that. And I think people look at that and say, "Why should I send my kid to Burbank?" They're not being distinguished schools anymore. They're not doing that as extra things, and that used to mean a lot. So if you look you'll see the painting on all the school walls, but the years are not current.
Well, excuse me. We hear a lot of people complain left and right. This is a good time for you. If you have something to say, You can call in. You can write. You got both boards. Now's the time to say something.
Right. Well, there's also going to be a discussion on the creation of a Center for Interpretership and Innovation. So if you're an not an interpreter, how do you say it? Why am I stumbling here? If you want to start a business, there you go, or you want to do something with innovation, they're going to talk about that. I can't believe come up with that. What there are certain words in the language that everybody has those little faux pas, and that's one of mine, I guess.
Well, it's funny because my page is show notes. Apparently, the Xerox machine didn't work, and I don't even see it. So you're okay.
Yeah, and I have it spelled out right here for me too. I mean, I guess I got to do it phonetically in the future, because I'm turning into Bob Frutos now, just making up words, I guess. Let's see, and then also on Wednesday, the youth board is going to meet at 6:30 at the Dawson Center. So they'll have their meeting over there again, and during the other meeting, once again, I never understand why they have two meetings at the same time. So I guess none of those kids will care about the school board meeting anyway. Thursday, we have another ribbon cutting. In fact, this time it's a grand opening. The Cambria Hotel, which is over on San Fernando and Hollywood Way, right in that area. It's a brand new hotel in that new area there. They're going to have their ribbon cutting at 4:00, and our ceremony starts at 4:00. I think the ribbon cutting's at 5:00.
Yeah.
So
big thing. This is a brand new style for Cambria hotels, and I hear they've had a couple events. It's a very, very nice hotel. Got a good bar, meeting rooms and everything, brand new. So I know they've invited the public. I think the Chamber had an event there last week. Meet the Chamber or whatever their event was. But, yeah, it should be a big shindig, they call it.
We like shindig. So we'll stop by that. I think we have Lynn going to cover it, I think, for us. And
I think so.
And you'll be there to shoot some pictures, and I may even go shoot
I sure hope so.
So
we've got to keep that one in there.
Then later that night, the Water and Power Board is going to meet at 5 p.m. at the Water and Power Building, which is going to be, once again, some of the issues are very complex. And I have a lot of respect for all those people on that board because they understand it far better than I do. And that's why we have some of these boards and commissions, because they do understand these issues and they are kind of experts in that field. Kind of, I won't say it. No, I won't say it. I promised I wasn't going to talk about that one anymore. The Heritage Commission is going to meet the Heritage Commission meeting has been canceled. We have no Heritage. Heritage is gone. And from 6 to 8 p.m., the Burbank Armenian Association is going to have a community business mixer. And that's at Elena's Esterario Bar and Lounge. I have no idea.
Hollywood Way?
Yeah, it used to be
Hollywood Way?
It used to be called the Hollywood Way, right?
Right. It used to be called the Hollywood Way.
Yeah.
Yep. They've remodeled it. And they expect quite a few people at that event.
I got to tell you, though, if you have a business, why would you name it something that nobody can pronounce? I mean, you need to make it easy for people. So, but figure it's Elena's, okay? Bar and Lounge. 1333 Hollywood Way. And it used to be the bar called the Hollywood Way, which I guess went its way. And so the Burbank Armenian Association started to do more and more in our community. So it's a group that is becoming a presence, and I have a lot of respect for them. Moving on to Friday, it's another ribbon cutting at 10 o'clock. So having a ribbon cutting for Burbank Water and Power's Iron Flow Battery BWB campus.
But what's funny about that, it's not open to the public or to the media because it's apparently the water plant is a working operation there, and I was told that we'll have to see who will be there and who's covering it.
Oh, okay. Well, so you can't go public. You can't go to it. You'll just have to hear about it.
Right. Only because it's on a secured campus.
Yep.
Our water and power plant is a secured campus. So
yes, it is.
Plus, apparently, that it's new batteries and so forth, and there's a hazardous situation out there that they want to keep control of. So it was just kind of threw me off when I heard that.
Okay. Well, moving on to the weekend. You know what Saturday morning is? It's the return of one of our favorite events. You have any idea what that is?
Must be the Dig Project.
Oh, there we go. That's our word of the week. Dig. D-I-G. You believe that?
D-I-G? No. How do you like that?
Okay, well, with the horn and everything else going on, that means if you send in an email to contest@myburbank.com and put in the subject line dig, D-I-G, and please, and send your address too. Send your name and your address to us, and we will pick out one lucky winner to receive a $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe, with that you will fully enjoy. So anyhow,
and also, I don't know if I had written it down in the notes, but Saturday night, Burbank Kiwanis.
Well, hold on here. We're not done with Dig yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Dig's going to be at the Buena Vista Library from 8 to 10 a.m. And as always, bring your equipment, bring your shovels, and of course, bring your hose. I'll leave it at that. Then the Friends of the Burbank Public Library they're having a pop-up sale, one day only. It's on the second floor auditorium at the Burbank Central Library from 12 to 4 p.m. So they're going to have a great selection of children's books, new and used fiction and nonfiction books, and DVDs and CDs at bargain prices. Now, here's the thing. If you buy a DVD or a CD, make sure you have a player, because a lot of people, that's like buying a VCR, getting a VCR tape and not having a VCR anymore. You know, it's a whole new world out there. Then I think we're going to talk about the Kiwanis are going to have their 2024 a Salute to Sports Gala from 6 to 9:30 p.m. at Oakmont Country Club. But here, you know what my problem with this is? We love the Kiwanis, we love what they do, but why, Kiwanis, are you having your fundraiser in Glendale?
Yep.
I mean, what, Burbank is not good? We don't have good enough locations in Burbank here? Our businesses in Burbank, we can't support them. Who supports you? Bad. We love the Kiwanis. I mean, but we want all the groups to understand this. If you're a Burbank community group and you're a nonprofit, do business in Burbank. You want Burbank people to do business with you, then you do business with Burbank. I think it's kind of a simple thing. Now, Ross, do you know if Lynn going to go and cover that?
No, because there's a conflict, if I recall, with the Rotary having their karaoke night.
Oh, okay.
So she had to pick which one she was going to cover, and I said, well, it's not in Burbank.
Yeah.
The Rotary thing is, it's going to be held at Nickelodeon. We might have to get them to give us a shot or two and so forth. So we'll have to work that one out. I do know that Kiwanis, they donate quite a bit around town.
Oh yeah, no, we love the Kiwanis.
So.
Yeah, but you know what? Guess what, Kiwanis? We're not going to cover your thing because it's not local. So that's the other reason you want to stay local. You want coverage, you got to stay here in Burbank.
And like we said at the top of the show, how many people do you talk to that they care about Burbank and what goes on here? They don't care about what goes on outside of Burbank. So
that is the truth.
Well, there's an article in today's myBurbank that we ran that Lynn wrote about Saturday night's Kiwanis event. And a week or so ago, she wrote about the Rotary's karaoke night. It's one of their big fundraisers. So a lot going on in town.
Yeah. Well, we usually don't have things on Sunday, but this Sunday we do have something. From 4 to 6 p.m., Cub Scout Pack 225 is going to hold their Pinewood Derby. And that's going to be at St. Robert Bellarmine's at their St. Eleanor Hall, which is at 5th Street and Orange Grove. And I got to tell you, I was a Cub Scout at one time back in the day, and I did Pinewood Derby, and I remember getting that little block of wood and those cheap little wheels, and then you got to, make the car yourself kind of, and but I got to be honest with you. My dad, who had an entire woodworking shop in our backyard, Oh boy, we did that. I mean, I would say it was 60-40, 60 him, 40 me, and I breaking the rules, but we it was a good father son thing. I remember.
But I don't think a lot of people realize that your dad, Gordon Sherwood, if you go over to the LA Live steamers, there's buildings over there dedicated to him. He was one of the founders.
One of the founders.
And he made those trains in his shop.
Right.
I remember coming to visit your dad. He would make the nuts and bolts.
He would actually go to Travel Town and he would make a copy of it and make it to 1/10 or whatever it was size, and he would actually make every part. It took him over 10 years to build one, and they were locomotives. They weren't trains; they were locomotives, steam engines. And it's too bad because the two steam engines he had when he passed away, Live Steamers kept them both and didn't pay me for them or give them back to me or anything. They just kept them. So I've not been over there since because I think that was bad on their part. They knew I was not a member, and my interest was not in trains, but we could have worked something out. But at least the station still is in his name, and he was one of the founders back in the 50s. But it's too bad that they decided that they were going to just keep. I have no idea what happened to his two trains that he spent 25 years of his life on.
Your dad's name over there. You talk to people that have been involved with LA Live steamers. They know your dad quite well.
Yeah, well, that was his passion. Steam locomotive. He took train rides all over the country. Steam locomotive rides. And like I say, steam locomotive, not steam trains, not steam engines. No, steam locomotives. At least that's the one that he did teach me well. So anyhow, Pinewood Derby, 6:00 on Sunday. It's kind of a fun event. Some of those kids do kind of fix their cars up and they run them. They get their patch or whatever they get for their merit badge for doing it, and but it's kind of a fun thing. So, well, Ross, I think we reached the end of another week. The week that will be. What do you think about that?
Wow, amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad we could do this remotely because the room that I'm in a little different, and the week that was is the week that will be. And this week, I think we're gonna. I don't know. There's tons of rants that I can come up with, but it's been a pretty good week.
Well, you have some, you don't have a rant for us?
I do.
Okay, I got my finger on the button ready here. So are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay, and here we go.
Ross's rant! Ross's rant! Ross's rant!
I'd take a flamethrower to this place!
Me. What's up, Doc?
Ross's rant. There I go. Actually, I saw on social media, I guess one of the local gangs went up and tagged Stow Park. And they wrote it in the street. They wrote it on the building. They wrote it everywhere. And people... Today was a holiday, so I guess somebody tried to find it on the new city app, and it said that street's not in Burbank. And there's different ways you can get graffiti removed, and what's nice about it is if you call or do it on that app, they give you an answer. They reply to you when it got taken care of, and usually it's the next day or so. So, many years ago, I remember a detective, good old Eric Rossoff, always said, those guys are looking at the publications too. And that's why I normally don't shoot pictures of gang graffiti. I don't want to give them recognition. That's what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
So, but, and Eric retired many years ago, and the things that I learned from, him and Ed Scavarna, a couple of great cops that handled gangs, and they had stories like, oh man, I could listen to them for hours talk about some of the gang stories they went on. Well, but Burbank still has a problem with gangs.
Yeah, and Ed Scavarna now, he's got a new gig.
Well, he's chief over there at the airport, chief head of emergency services. He oversees the fire department. They just signed him a new contract, I was told recently. And in fact, I had to call Ed the other day. Our partner in crime, Craig Derling, flew in after a mishap on his trip, and I had to pick him up there, and Ed let me park right in front of the terminal. He said, you helped Mr. Sterling out. You can park right in the white zone there and 10 feet from the baggage claim. And Craig had help out of the plane in a wheelchair. He's convalescing. He has some surgery planned this week, and he'll be out for a couple of weeks. But it's funny, we're both kind of mending right now.
You know what's funny is I was by the airport the other day, and there's that recording playing. The white zone is for loading and unloading only, except if you're Ross Benson waiting for Craig Durling. I couldn't believe
That's
was
right.
saying that. It was saying that on there over and over again.
Well, I just find that, I called Ed and arranged it, and he said, no problem. The watch commander will know your car. Send me a picture of your car. And one of their parking guys, traffic guys, walked up to me, and I said, this is where your chief told me to park? And he said, no problem then, sir. And in fact, the guy that helped Craig off the plane in the wheelchair, he was pretty shocked, because most people, they got to take him to the park instruction and so forth. Guy said, how did you get to park right here? And I said, it's good to know people in high places.
Absolutely. And that's one of the class guys around, so I'm glad that he helped out. So,
every time I see our commissioners, I commend them. You got somebody like Ed, he loves what he's doing. He has great guys out there, and he's just, people love him. And hopefully, like I said, they signed a new contract with him. So he'll be there for a new terminal. And we'll see.
There you go.
Well, that's the week that was, the week that will be, the week to do, and the week to be.
That you got it. It's all in one thing. So, once again, I'm sorry for you people listening live. We were a little late tonight. But you know what? The show must go on, as they say. We've been doing now a show, since we started doing podcasts back, it's been about a year now. We've done over 120 podcasts, I think, in that first year, averaging a little over two a week. And the week that was, the week that will be, has been on every single week. So we appreciate people listening, and always want your comments too.
People stop me when I'm out shooting pictures, telling me they either love Ross's rants or they cover stuff that we talk about. So there's people in this city that it's hard to, they just brought it up during that meeting on the bus lane that some of the people didn't know that the meeting was going on, and that's our purpose. We keep our ear to the ground.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this about that though. Okay, now this isn't, I guess, my Craig's complaint maybe, but I heard a lot of that too. Oh, people don't know. People don't. You know what? Get your head out of the sand, people. I was thinking, we did say on the myBurbank website. It's been if you don't want to find news, then you won't find news. Things aren't going to come over. People aren't going to walk up to your house and say, did you know this was going to happen this week? That doesn't happen. You got to take some personal responsibility. And that's when we first started this, we said, how do we get the person, like we said, how do we get the person at 630 Florence to know we're there, to know to look at us? And that was the battle, and I think we've solved that to a point. But, if people don't check in on the website, or they don't, people need to take have some personal, responsibility.
Well, we've tried to make it as easy as possible. You put out many different Twitters and our calendar.
Facebook, everything.
So we're doing our best to try to get people in. It's just, again, we're working at it. We want people to know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Well, happy anniversary, happy birthday.
Well, and the same to you.
All right, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We do appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week.
myBurbank Talks would like to thank all of myBurbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Game Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Burbank, Logix Credit Union, Hill Street Cafe, Bertain Escobar Wealth Management, and the UPS Store on 3rd Street.